Our agents, this is Noah from Noah's Archetypes, and today we'll be looking at the winner of the 2020 Structure Deck poll. And that just so happens to be Ice Barriers, if you can believe it. Recently in Japan, they did a Structure Deck poll with the 10 archetypes in front of you to see which one will be getting a Structure Deck. They did promise that the top 2 will be getting Structure Decks, and second place we have Cyber Style. Konami does have a history of supporting some of the other cards on the list, or archetypes on the list rather. So Gustos will definitely be getting some support, and some of the other cards as well, but that remains to be seen. And today we will be trying to see if there's any running themes or play styles that the Ice Barriers have that Konami could use to make some of the newer cards. Obviously the current cards are trash, let's just be honest. Konami could just ignore all the monsters that currently exist and just start making newer monsters that do their own thing. But I thought it would be fun to look at what we currently have and see if there's any use for any potential structure deck to come out. So first off, let's look at the spell and trap support. Now they don't have that many spell and trap cards, but Medallion of the Ice Barrier is a pretty good one. It allows you to add any Ice Barrier monster from your deck to your hand. Currently there's no good cards to add, but that could change when they bring better Ice Barrier monsters. Then you can add a decent card to your hand. What they should not do is create cards like Shock Troops of the Ice Barrier. How this card works is you tribute itself and then destroy a water monster on the field. Then you can add an Ice Barrier monster from your deck to your hand. Currently there's no good way to get out multiple Ice Barrier monsters in a turn, so you'll probably have to use your normal summon to get this card out. Then tribute it, and since you're probably the only one playing water monsters to begin with, you'd have to destroy one of your own monsters, it's just a bad card. This is an example of what not to do with new Ice Barrier support. Next we have Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier. This is a decent card. How it works is you reveal 3 Ice Barrier monsters with different names, and then you can destroy one card your opponent controls and special summon an Ice Barrier monster from your hand. Luckily it does not have to be one of the ones revealed, but 3 monsters from your hand with different names is a bit of a steep price, especially in late game. So maybe for future cards, Konami could make you excavate cards from the top of your deck, or make a card like Bingo Machine Go, in which you reveal 3 Ice Barrier monsters, your opponent then randomly selects one and you special summon it. Then they could still add the part where you destroy a card on their field, or return it to the hand, or banish it. That would really make Ice Barriers a force to be reckoned with. Cards like Prior of the Ice Barrier are examples of what not to do. This card can special summon itself from the hand if you control an Ice Barrier monster, but then you can't special summon level 5 or higher monsters the rest of the turn, and all of the extra deck monsters are level 5 or higher, so it's really pointless. Also, it could tribute itself to summon a Ice Barrier monster from the graveyard, but I really don't see this card making it to the future of the Ice Barrier direction that the cards are going into. If it restricted you to only play Ice Barrier monsters for the rest of the turn, this card would have been very useful, but as it is now, it's not making it to the next round. So for the first category of Ice Barrier monsters, we have controlling Ice Barriers. So what this refers to is monsters that have effects that activate if you control an Ice Barrier monster. Now the problem with this is that you have to already have an Ice Barrier monster on the field. We already mentioned that there is no good way of getting multiple Ice Barrier monsters on the field in the same turn, so that makes it even harder for you to use these cards, and the deck is just all over the place. Even if you do control an Ice Barrier monster, none of these cards are that great, so I don't see any of them making it to the next round either. They're not working out. Category 2, summoning multiple Ice Barrier monsters in a turn, and the only ones we have on this list are the Generals Gantala and Grunurd. So how this works is Gantala can special summon one Ice Barrier monster from the graveyard, but only at the end of the turn, and Grunurd allows you to normal summon an Ice Barrier monster in addition to your normal summon set that turn. The big problem is that both of these guys are high level monsters, and because of that, you'd have to tribute summon them to get them on the field, which means you already have to have multiple monsters on the field in order to get the effects going, and that's gonna be a huge problem. If they do add low level monsters that can special summon Ice Barrier monsters from the hand or the deck, then maybe you could use Grunur to then normal summon another monster from the hand. That way you start getting more monsters on the field. But even the synchro monsters don't need such high level monsters on the field, considering Trishula is level 9 but does need 2 non-tuner monsters as material. These guys are way too high level for even synchro plays, so I don't think they're going to be making it to the structure deck. Next we have category 3, the draw effects. There are a few monsters that have draw effects amongst the Ice Barriers, and draw effects are not so bad. The big problem is there's no way to gain advantage from those draw effects currently, because there isn't that much spell trap support, and none of the monsters can special summon themselves, or none that matter at least. If they created some good support cards, then maybe one of these guys might make the list. But other than that, I don't see these guys going anywhere anytime soon. Next, we have category 4, returning cards to the hand. So this refers to some of the cards that have effects to either return cards on your side of the field to the hand or your opponent's side of the field to the hand. And this is a very good effect because some monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. So returning them to the hand is a very good way to get rid of them. And maybe some of the newer cards will have similar card ideas here. You could, for example, have a synchro monster that negates a monster's effect and then returns it to the hand instead of destroying it. And I think that would really help out this deck a lot. There's not much else to say. I just hope that at least 1 or 2 of them have such an effect, and if it's non-targeting, then even better. Next up we have category 5, sending cards from the hand to the graveyard. So some of the Ice Barrier cards have a discard cost or require you to send a card from the hand to the graveyard, and if some of the newer support cards help out by having floating effects when they're discarded or sent to the graveyard, then the deck would really start going in the good direction, because then you're not losing as much advantage as you currently would with the current Ice Barrier cards. I don't know, I think that we might get 2 new Ice Barrier synchro monsters. Not sure if we'll get more than that. There's a chance that they would make them specifically need a Ice Barrier tuner monster, so that you have to play Ice Barriers to summon them, since they are making a structure deck. What I would love to see though is a baby Trishula that has effects similar to the big Trishula, but instead of banishing 3 cards at once, it maybe has a once per turn effect where you need to pay a cost and then you can use one of those effects. For example, discard 1 card and randomly banish 1 card in your opponent's hand, return 1 card you control to the hand, and if you do, banish 1 card your opponent controls, or return 1 Ice Barrier card in your graveyard to the deck and then banish 1 card in your opponent's graveyard. If you make this a quick effect, it will be way too powerful maybe. So I think it should just be a once per turn effect, but either way it would be really awesome to see a little baby Trishula. And for the final category, we have Pendulum support. Now currently there are no Pendulum Ice Barrier monsters, but considering that none of them can actually special summon themselves, I figured making some Pendulum support might actually be a good idea. That way you can get multiple Ice Barrier monsters out in one turn. and maybe you'll be able to turbo out some synchro monsters very efficiently. You could also have them have, you know, continuous effects that work during every turn. For example, allowing you to normal summon a set in one extra ice barrier monster per turn. That way you can gain advantage. And if you keep your extra monster zone open, then you could potentially just, go into another synchro monster every turn. Of course, that is if your pendulum monster is a tuner, or if it's a low level, which will allow you to use it as material. One thing I would like to see from one of the synchro monsters is to allow you to special summon a tuner or any ice bearer monster from the graveyard or deck. That way you'd be able to go into another, synchro monster, and it will just help you summon multiple monsters in one turn. But it remains to be seen. So that's the list. If you have any other ideas for ice barrier monsters, please leave them down below. Just tell me what support you hope they give the ice barriers. And if you like the video, please share, subscribe, and like it. And I'll check you guys later.